Francesca Deli and Pizzeria has over 15 specialty sandwiches, a big 10-ounce burger, and some of the best pizza in New Orleans. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End.
You know what that tune means, huh? It's a Fantasy Friday. Time for the neutral brand with yours truly till 6 o'clock. 2 big hours coming your way. Fridays with Fletch, Mackel, and Fletch. He knows number 9. He interviewed number 9 a whole lot. This guy right here. This guy right here. Fletcher Mackel in a few minutes on a Fantasy Friday edition of the program. Fridays with Fletch. We'll find out what's going on with Coach Rizzi and the Saints, LSU, Alabama, Tulane homecoming, the struggling Pelicanos. Michael Hecht from Greater New Orleans Inc. He's going to join us at the end of the 4 o'clock hour and at the beginning of the 5 o'clock hour, because we've got so much to discuss, like tax reform, the special session going on as we speak, 90 plus days till Super Bowl 59 at the Dome, and the sunset, the No Shame Tour about to come to an end. Mayor LaToya Cantrell in Barcelona. Now, I loved Rafael Goyeneche joining us on the program yesterday, talking about when the mayor gets indicted, she will have to relinquish her passport. Isn't that a beautiful thing? There'll be no more junkets. There'll be no more junkets. Thank goodness. Just total abuse. Doesn't care about the city, black or white. You black folks that feel compelled to back someone because they're black, you need to get over it. It's 2024. The mayor does not care about you one bit. The fact that she's black or female is a mere incidental. She's just not a good person and doesn't care about black folks, female folks, white folks, Democrats, Republicans, New Orleanians in general. Not civic-minded, not acting like a public servant, like an elected official who works for us. Just worried about herself, very selfish, very self-absorbed, put herself on the top 50 most influential New Orleanians in history list. It's nonstop, just like I said, the No Shame Tour, now in Barcelona, Spain, on the city's dime. Just relentless and belligerent, and kind of has that attitude like, you haters are going to hate. Screw you, I'm going to Barcelona. That's her attitude. The hell with you, New Orleanians. She acts as if like only white conservative Republicans care about the city. Sorry, Mayor. Black folks care about the city too. It's their city. It's a majority black city. They very much care about their city. No, she loves taking advantage of New Orleanians over and over and over again. Yeah, the No Shame Tour. Top 50 most influential New Orleanians, puts herself on the list. And now in Barcelona, Spain. It doesn't stop. But it'll stop when a federal indictment comes her way and they take her passport away and travel will be restricted. That's the only way to stop Junket Cantrell. And then inevitable jail time. It's C. Ray Nagin 2.0. Got to do better, New Orleans. Got to do better. Maybe it'll be Helena Moreno. The New Orleans City Council president has filed the paperwork with the state for her mayoral run in New Orleans. Oliver Thomas seems to be a go. He was on the program about, 3 weeks ago, saying by the end of the year, maybe early January, there'll be an announcement one way or another. And it's not one way or another. It's a go. Helena Moreno, Oliver Thomas are going to be the front runners. Royce Duplessis is going to jump in there. I don't know. Maybe he can come out of, that third place slot and make a name for himself, pull a Buddy Roemer. Maybe Judge Arthur Morell gets in the race. Personally, and I'm a registered independent, I would like to see a conservative, a registered Republican get in the race. But I guess a registered Republican thinks there's no way I can win in liberal, Democratic-leaning New Orleans. And maybe they're right. But what's sad about dysfunctional, broken New Orleans, and it's been this way for a long time, there's not a single elected person in city government in New Orleans that's a Republican or a conservative, not one. And that's a problem. And if you don't think it is, you think like Republicans are the enemy, the devil, they don't care about New Orleans, whatever your thinking is, it's wrong. The opposite's actually true. New Orleans is broken and dysfunctional because it's loony leftists. It's pure liberals running the city, year in, year out, decade in, decade out. It would be nice to get an opposing view. And it's not just liberals. It's like woke, loony left, hardcore left, extremists. I got nothing against Democrats, Republicans, liberals, or conservatives. I embrace them. I like moderates, not extremists. And in New Orleans, it's a lot of hardcore liberal left. Just look at the judges and magistrates just letting criminals out until the pressure got so heavy on them. They had no choice but to do their job properly. Helena Moreno, officially in the race, she's filed the paperwork with the state. She'll make an announcement to make it official coming out of her mouth any day now. Same with Oliver Thomas. And most likely Royce Duplessis and maybe Judge Arthur Hunter. No, but I'd like to see, I don't care if they're black or white. I'd love to see a black Republican run for mayor of the city of New Orleans. That would be really interesting. Louisiana, yesterday a list was released. Most educated states, least educated states. The top 5 most educated: Massachusetts, Vermont, Maryland, Connecticut, and Colorado. The least educated: West Virginia, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. And this isn't like just some subjective thing. It's objective. It's college degrees, postgraduate degrees, high school, or what is it? Not GDI, the GDE, whatever it is, the diploma that makes you high school, a high school graduate, a GDE, I guess. Louisiana's 48th in the country in education. Percentage of the population with degrees. No, we're one of the least educated states in the country. And we kind of like that. We like being dumb. We take this belligerent attitude like, hey, screw you folks. We know better. Even though New Orleans struggles as a city versus other cities, and Louisiana struggles as a state versus other states. Same criteria. This Mike the Tiger thing, I shouldn't say Mike the Tiger, this live Tiger tomorrow night at the LSU-Alabama game is strictly politics. From the governor, from this goofy Surgeon General Ralph Abraham. If you would have heard him on Fox or the quotes from him on Fox, that says it all. They're on Fox. You're going to tell me it's not political? They're on Fox. You think Fox cares? Hey, let's go to Washington State. They have a live polar bear out at they love it because liberals freak about it. Sadly, because like PETA is this liberal thing. The ethical treatment of animals. I'm not saying PETA doesn't have an agenda sometimes and gets a little extreme, but who's against the ethical treatment of animals? Who's against that? You can be against PETA, but you can't be against the ethical treatment of animals. If you are, you're wrong. It's 2024. It's America. We're supposed to treat animals humanely. And it's like a consensus. It's not some people think this and some don't. It's a consensus. And it's not the same thing like a domesticated dog at Georgia or a farm animal like the bison at Colorado. This is an exotic Bengal tiger, an endangered species. And the governor and this Surgeon General feel compelled to bring a live tiger into Tiger Stadium and old school in the cage, parade him around 100,000 plus screaming fans. No one's clamoring for this. No one misses this. It's not some tradition that folks are begging to bring back. It's just something the governor came up with and the goofy Surgeon General has endorsed, and he's a vet. I was with the tiger yesterday. He's very calm. He likes people. That's what the attorney general said. No, it just yells to the rest of the country. Yes, Louisiana is backwards ass, and so many people embrace that. Stick around. Fridays with Fletch next.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Did you know Rouse's sells only Angus beef? Angus beef's natural marbling means more succulence and flavor. Whether you choose Rouse's USDA Prime, Choice, or Select, it'll be only Angus beef when you get it at Rouse's. Tastes like home. Want to stay somewhere special when visiting New Orleans? Look no further than the Grand Victorian. Located in the Garden District on the St. Charles Avenue streetcar line, the Grand Victorian is ideally placed for visiting the city's local attractions, fabulous restaurants, shops, and more. Make your stay in New Orleans something to remember. To find out more about the Grand Victorian or to book, go to gvbb.com. The Grand Victorian.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes are magazine, as unique as you.
Come experience the best smoothies in the metro area at Smoothie King. Jay and his father have been Smoothie King franchisees for decades on Jefferson Highway across from Oxnard, on Airline Highway at LeBar by Causeway. Smoothie King.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralocks, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralocks technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralocks is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Francesca Deli and Pizzeria has over 15 specialty sandwiches, a big 10-ounce burger, and some of the best pizza in New Orleans. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End.
Custom window treatments can enhance the look and value of your home. At Helm Paint and Decorating, we're proud to offer custom plantation-style window shutters by Scandia. Perfect for any window, including large frames, French doors, sliding doors, and arches. American-made SL300 shutters are available in many colors to match your personal decor. We'll come out to measure, and you'll receive fast delivery. Plus, they're virtually maintenance-free.
Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore. Let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
Hey, if you're not going to be at Yeoman Stadium tomorrow afternoon, or you're not going to be at Tiger Stadium tomorrow night, a great place to check out those games with like-minded fans, it's got to be Tracy's. Legendary Tracy's on Magazine at Pleasant, in between Washington and Louisiana. Bigger and better than ever. The all-new Tracy's. 2 stories, big balcony over Magazine Street, dozens and dozens of flat-screen TVs, and an actual real kitchen. Not like other sports bars where you're like, I guess I'll eat this mediocre to poor food. Great menu featuring one of the best roast beef po' boys, one of the best roast beef po' boys anywhere. When it's time to check out your favorite sports teams, it's really hard to beat the all-new Tracy's. Like I said, bigger and better than ever. Magazine at Pleasant. Check out the Wave tomorrow afternoon, the Tigers tomorrow night. Pelicans, Saints on Sunday. Magazine at Pleasant. Tracy's. Fridays with Fletch, Fletcher Mackel, WDSU Channel 6 Sports, joining us once again. He's obviously off the electric bicycle right now. What up, Fletch?
Hi, Corey. What's up?
Not too much, man. We're always talking food, you and I, either off the air, on the air. A couple of yatty New Orleanians that like to talk. It's funny, last week I brought up Gallagher's on the North Shore. I went there actually a couple of days ago and had lunch and was talking to Pat Gallagher, and Fletcher Mackel came up. He said he saw you at the Mercedes-Benz dealership on the North Shore a few days earlier, and y'all were talking about your dad, who is just an incredible person. I don't know what happened to you. And Jim Henderson, another incredible person. Good conversation. Nice guy, Pat Gallagher.
Oh, my God, I hadn't seen him in a long time. He was great. It was a fantastic event. Mercedes of Covington, Mutt's Tunnels. It was a big fundraiser for Marty Paws, which does a lot for animal charities. I mean, it was I was expecting a lot, and it exceeded all expectations. And then to see him over there, it was great. I hadn't seen him in a long, long time. But I mean, he's like obviously an institution. And so, sorry, the dog is barking.
That's all right. I like that.
And so yeah. So it was great to see him. I
like the dog barking. You heard what he said. He's like, Corey, I agree with you. Frank Mackel, a great person. Fletcher, The dog said that, not me.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I got distracted there for a second.
That's all right. I loved your dad, by the way.
Yes, I did as well. So, yeah, no, but it's always nice to reminisce with people like that, kind of like, I mean, obviously I was in my 20s when my father passed away, but people that knew him, like, I still look at my at that age, like, oh, my parents are adults, and they're, you know what I mean? Like, I was an adult, but I was still a kid or a young adult. So now that I am, that's been 3 years. It's, it's kind of fun to hear those stories and that perspective and such.
No, it's weird. I'll always remember the date because it's the date your dad passed away, and it happened to be my father's birthday. What wasn't it? September 11th?
It was 9/11. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, obviously everyone remembers 9/11. I don't think, I think of 9/11 like third, like seriously. I think about my dad's birthday and I think about your dad's passing, just that's what I remember. No.
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah.
And there's nothing you can do about this. Your dad liked me a lot. Nothing you can do about it, beyond your control.
It's true. I still, it's one of those things that I may never be able to reconcile that, like, what was going through. It does make me question who these people were that, that raised me. I don't know if that was the best form of parenting, hearing my father compliment you.
I mean, Fletch, it was like Henry Thomas. Then it was your dad. That's like Mr. Golf in New Orleans. I mean, your dad took City Park to an entirely different stratosphere.
No, I appreciate that. Like, he loved the park, and it was great what he did. And, the late Jim Bob Moffitt got involved and made a ton of donations to help when he was overseeing Freeport-McMoran to invest in the park and, really make sure that golf at the park was something special. And so, yeah, it was a great run. And
I talked to guys like Jimmy Hedrick, and they go back with your dad to, like, Lakewood days.
They do. There's a lot. It's funny. I still meet people at the Zurich Classic every year that, old golf pros and golf people, and I'll still run across people that tell me, your dad gave me golf lessons, or your dad sold me my first set of clubs out of his golf shop and stuff like that. So it does kind of, still mean something in our family when people say that and the reach that he had in that world.
I mean, I'll tell you, I've told you this before. Maybe you remember it, maybe you don't. Why would I make this up? I don't lie. It's at the whatever the Zurich was back then, USF&G, whatever. It was like Nicklaus's last time playing in it. And I think Jack Jr. was also playing in it. And he played the backside first, so he finished on the front side. He's coming up number 9. And I'll tell the Greg Norman story another day. I was waiting for that jerk at the driving range, and Nicklaus walked by, and Norman had already seen me. So I was like, I'm not going to go run over to Nicklaus, even though he's by himself. And then Norman and I had a crappy interview, and then I go over by Nines Green, and Jack Nicklaus is over there. And I'm like, hey, Mr. Nicklaus. He's like, call me Jack. I'm like, hey, Corey Johnson. He goes, how you doing, Corey? And calls me by my first name. And then I was like, I'd love to do an interview if you got a second. He goes, hey, Jackie Jr.'s coming up the fairway right now. Can we do it in a little while? I was like, no problem. He's like, great. So he kind of like walks over by the green, and I'm like 20 yards away. And then all of a sudden, Barbara Nicklaus and all the kids and their wives and the grandkids, it's like 20 Nicklauses around the green. And Jackie Jr. putts out, and, they runs up to Jack, and they're shaking hands and hugging. And then this mob of Nicklauses walks off. And I'm like, okay, I guess that interview is not happening. Then all of a sudden, Nicklaus pops his head up. He's like, Corey, calling my name. So then I walk over to him. He's like, let's do this interview. And he goes, why don't we do it over by the clubhouse? So we have to walk from Nines Green across the parking lot to the clubhouse. He goes, where are you from? I go, New Orleans. He goes, Frank Mackel. I mean, I'm telling you, Fletch, first thing out of maybe the greatest golfer. It's Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus, maybe the greatest golfer of all time to ever pick up a stick, known around the world. Where are you from? New Orleans. Frank Mackel. Right away. That's a fact. That is 100% true story. That's got to make you smile.
It does. Every time you say it, and you've told me that story before, and it does, it is a very good story. So, yes, I always appreciate hearing that.
Come on. I mean, Jack Nicklaus, when he thinks about New Orleans, Louisiana, he doesn't think about English turn, doesn't think about the food, doesn't think about the grades. Frank Mackel. I'm just like, wow. I was like, awesome. All right, Fletch, you ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. I guess we'll start with Alan gone and Rizzy in. What are your just general thoughts of that? I mean, the raspy voice, special teams coach. He's starting things off the right way. Let's warm up instead of just practicing right away. He's saying and doing all the right things so far and hadn't even coached a game yet.
Yeah, no, look, Rizzy is a presence. I'll give him that. He's the guy who actually interviewed for this job almost 3 years ago in February 2022 when Sean Payton, surprisingly left. I mean, Rizzy was one of the finalists for the job. So it shouldn't come as a huge surprise that they like him, that he's head coach like there's certain guys, Pete Carmichael was not a head coach. He was a little bit more introverted and quiet. Rizzy is not that. He is passionate. Is energetic. There's an aura, there's a vibe, there's a passion to him. So I am curious to see how they finish, because this isn't we've given up. There's still a lot of fight in that locker room. I mean, look, I still don't know. They're not making the playoffs this year, but I'm curious if Rizzy could go 6-2, say, in these final 8 games. Do they give him the job? Is that enough to say you know what? He's the head coach. We've rallied and we got the right guy in the building. But he's a presence. And look, I feel bad for DA. I think he's a really great defensive coordinator. I think he's going to go on and be a really good defensive coordinator again in the NFL.
Yeah.
But he's not a head coach.
No. Some folks aren't head coaching material. And I think what you said, he's sort of cerebral. He's kind of chill. You know, you need to be a little more, energized. I don't know what it is. Passionate. I think Dennis Allen is a winner as a person, as a coach, but I agree. I think he's strictly a defensive coordinator. There's a lot of coaches in the league like that some know it and don't aspire to really be a head coach. I guess if they're offered the gig, they'd take it. But, I think some just are like, I'm a great position coach or I'm a great coordinator. And they stay in that spot their entire career. I think Dennis Allen's a great coordinator. That's been proven. And just maybe not head coaching material.
Right. So I think you're right. He reminds me a lot of Steve Spagnuolo. Steve Spagnuolo won a championship as a defensive coordinator with the Giants, got the Rams job. It was a bad job in a bad place. They were miserable. He got fired. He has now worked his way back up to being maybe the best defensive coordinator in football with the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's got 3 rings with them. Dennis Allen, you want to know my prediction? Dennis Allen's going to be the defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions next year because Aaron Glenn is going to get a head coaching job.
Yeah, that's a great prediction. You're probably right on the money. Hey, Fletch, hold that thought real quick. It's Fridays with Fletch. We're going to take a quick break. Come back talking more about the Rizzi interim head coaching position for the Saints. Also, LSU, Alabama, Tulane homecoming, the Pels, a whole lot to discuss. Fridays with Fletch. Hey, Young's Dry Cleaning, tired of your dry cleaner? Want to experience the best? Young'sDryCleaning.com. Free pickup and delivery. They've got manless locker locations. Want to experience the best dry cleaner? It's easy. They've been at it for 84 years. Young'sDryCleaning.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this Lamar Automotive Complex is something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We're doing all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
Outdoor dining, Middle Eastern cuisine, under the oak trees, Lebanon's Cafe, some of the city's finest lamb chops and shish kebab, Carrollton at Jeanette by the streetcar barn, Lebanon's Cafe.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
For Leidenheimer Baking Company, producing the perfect French bread is more than a vocation. It's a sacred mission. And for 5 generations, they've used the same time-honored process, baking their signature loaf with its crisp crust and delicate center, unique and still good to the last crumb. From the finest French Quarter restaurants to your local po' boy shop, for over 125 years, New Orleans' own Leidenheimer.
1970 was an exciting time in New Orleans. The first Jazz Fest was held, the city hosted its first Super Bowl, and the first Helm Paint location opened on Earhart Boulevard. While the floppy disks, mood rings, and pet rocks may have come and gone since the 70s, Helm Paint has grown to become your premier source for quality Benjamin Moore products, competitive pricing, and personal service. Please visit one of our locations today, and we'll meet our competitors' prices on any identical product. Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore, let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
Have you been to the new Tracy's on Magazine? There's no better sports bar restaurant in the entire city. Tracy's is inside of a 100-year-old building with literally dozens and dozens of flat-screen TVs, including a 120-inch monster. Tracy's has everything you're looking for in a sports bar, including arguably the best roast beef po' boy in town. When it's time to check out your favorite teams, make it Tracy's on Magazine at Pleasant, in between Washington and Louisiana. Legendary Tracy's in the Garden District.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Tired of cleaning your gutters? Improve the value and look of your home with Leaf Guard gutters. And you'll never have to clean your gutters again. Ever. I guarantee it. Let Audubon Gutters install Leaf Guard gutters today. You'll improve the look and value of your home. And right now is the perfect time during Audubon Gutters' 99-cent installation sale. Call 469-6494 now. Get out of that gutter and get on the phone. At Audubon Gutters.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes are magazine, as unique as you.
Rouse's Market is hiring. With 65 stores, full or part-time employment, and flexible scheduling, Rouse's has a job for you, or maybe even a career. Apply at any Rouse's store or online at rouses.com.
Francesca Deli and Pizzeria has over 15 specialty sandwiches, a big 10-ounce burger, and some of the best pizza in New Orleans. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End.
See, I guarantee you, if Fletcher's doing some phone in on Channel 6, he ain't walking away from the Wi-Fi. But he comes on this program, oh, sorry, dude, walked away from the Wi-Fi. What's up with that? Come on, professionalism, damn it.
Sorry.
I'm just busting your chops. You're a total pro, Fletch. I just hate admitting it. How long you been at this thing? Since you were doing weather in Alexandria, when was that? Like 25 years ago? Your like 90-day stint at weather?
26 years ago. And yes, it was about a 3-month stint doing weather. And thankfully, there was no social media. It wasn't quite the digital wave it is now. Those tapes are probably lost, like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. They're boxed up in a storage room somewhere, never to be seen again.
Yep.
That's probably where they belong.
Well, you should hear my early radio stuff. It's just like, it's embarrassing. It's so bad. Yeah. It's so bad.
So, yeah.
I remember Bruce Weber, the number 3 guy at Channel 2 in Baton Rouge. The first few weeks he'd call me and go, quit saying we. I'd say we for LSU, we for the Saints, like a fan. And it took me about 3 weeks to be like, yeah, dude, you're on radio now. You're be a fan off the air if you want, but on the air, try not to be a fan. So I started saying LSU and Saints and Tulane instead of we. But literally, Bruce would call me. It must have been a dozen times the first few weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Anyway. Hey, I thought it was crazy, like what Rizzy was saying about the activation period. And he even tried to give Allen some credit. Like, we were talking about doing this. I don't think they were talking about doing it. He's so right. It's like he was kind of saying, like, the old Saints under Allen, we didn't warm up. We just went out and practiced. And he almost kind of insinuating that's how you get players injured, Fletch.
Yeah, again, let me say this. And this is just my take on this. A massive portion of that yesterday was not something I was really interested in. Like, we have all these fancy words now. Like, instead of just calling it, even Rizzy joked, he goes, back in my day, we just called it warming up. Now we call it, like, I forgot the word he used.
Activation.
The activation period. And it's like, look, I get it. Like, the world now is hype. The days of like Kenny Stabler or a professional athlete taking a drag, and then we have moved so far past that to the sports science of everything. But I still don't think. And look, I'm allowed to try to defend him, but we spend way too much time. I was in that media conference the other day, and even Rizzy started laughing at the questions. Not laughing, but just it kind of became like lighthearted because of activation periods and this and that. And sure, this who wants the job. This is a guy who's doing things differently. He changed the locker room. He changed the practice schedule. I get it. They lost 7 straight. Things aren't working right now. You got to do things differently. They've dealt with a horrible rash of injuries. But I don't know how these guys, if they practice a little bit before they stretch, or if they stretch and then they practice, I don't know if that is the root of leading to the horrible rash of injuries that they are having right now. And you can call me crazy. I'd have to say the science on it. But I know what he's saying is under Sean Payton and then under Dennis Allen, they would do some individual work, some walkthrough stuff. Then they would have their stretch. Well, now they're having their stretch and then they're going into practice. It's like, okay, like I get it. Maybe this is the root of all of those injuries. Or maybe it's like the placebo effect. Like we're just doing things differently, try things and hope it keeps guys healthy more than we're talking about like the activation period and this and that, as if we've got some magic elixir to keep anybody from getting hurt the rest of the year.
No, you make a good point, especially when you go back in time. Like Mike Ditka would get hammered on Saturday night and then go into the game on Sunday hungover and reeking of alcohol and have 8 catches for 100 yards and a TD. Max McGee, the old Tulane wide receiver, that Super Bowl with Green Bay, the famous catch, behind where Starr threw it a little behind him and he caught it, with his right hand running across the middle. He had and this was back then, 8 catches, 120 yards, and 2 scores in the Super Bowl. Didn't even think he was going to play. He said he got drunk the night before and was hungover for the game, and had a great game. So, and then the cigarette smoking you mentioned, seeing the guys on the sideline, the photo, looking at the sheet, the old Kansas City QB, what's his name? Lenny Dawson with a cigarette in his mouth smoking during the game.
Right, and that's the thing. I look back, all these numbers on Nolan Ryan, all these, these guys that the amount of pitches they threw and the amount of innings they threw, and the technology is nowhere close to what it is now. So again, I like technology. I am all about cutting edge stuff. How can you keep guys in peak performance? This is the other thing I would point out. David Griffin, who I like and I'm a fan of, went and made Aaron Nelson, this renowned trainer from the Phoenix Suns, who extended Grant Hill's career, who kept Shaq and Steve Nash in the league longer than they should. It was this renowned guy. They make him the highest paid trainer in the league. He comes to New Orleans and they can't keep anybody healthy. Someone in his camp, everything he's doing. So it's kind of like, is this guy just terrible? Or is it just kind of, sometimes you hit a run of bad luck, you hit a run of things that don't work for certain athletes. But I don't think this guy, who is the greatest trainer in recent NBA history, all of a sudden came here to sabotage the Pelicans. But nonetheless, he couldn't keep anybody healthy. And so, again, I'm all for all of it. I'm all in on that stuff. But I do think sometimes, people, so the activation was first. This is it. We've discovered the cure to keeping players healthy. We're going to stretch, then practice, not do a walkthrough and then stretch, because that may have been it. I love my colleagues sometimes, but I just feel like, man, I feel like we are reaching levels of absurdity here that is just screaming for somebody to say, let's have some common sense, people. Whether they do a walkthrough and then stretch, or stretch and do a walkthrough, I don't know if that's the reason why Chris Olave's gotten 2 concussions, or why Eric McCoy needed groin surgery because he injured it in the game, or why some of these things are happening at practice. I'm sorry, I refuse to believe that.
Boy, Giganticus tomorrow night, LSU, Alabama at Tiger Stadium, 6:30 kickoff, nighttime game. 14th ranked LSU, 11th ranked Alabama, both 6-2. The losers eliminated from the potential playoff. The winner stays alive. That's pretty much sums it up, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because here's the thing. There's going to be 4 or 5 SEC teams get into that playoff. There will not be a 3-loss SEC team that gets in. They're all going to have less. There may be several with 2 losses, like Bama, or if somebody else, Tennessee, stubs their toe, or A&M. But there's not going to be a 3-loss SEC.
Yeah.
So for all practical purposes, this is an elimination game.
If LSU continues to not be able to run the ball and not be able to stop the run, especially a running quarterback, they got no chance tomorrow night, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I mean, look, Nichols gashed LSU. Then, A&M gashed them on the ground. I mean, they can't stop anybody. Last year, Jalen Milroe set a rushing record for a quarterback against LSU. So, and LSU's defense, it was going to be sloppy. It may be perfect for LSU. It'd be a sloppy game where it muddies up the field. And instead of being a track meet, it's a mutter, and that may help LSU, especially since they've been struggling against teams' ground games all season.
LSU hadn't been able to run the ball too well either.
Not at all. They can't run it, and they can't stop the run.
Yep, that's it. Hey, Tulane's 8-2. They're 7-2. If they beat Temple, which they should tomorrow afternoon at Yulman at homecoming, they'll be 8-2 and they'll be in the top 25, right?
I think they're going to get into the top 25. They look right.
They're 26th in the coaches poll and 28th in the AP right now.
Right. It's one of those things. Temple's terrible. This is the thing. I think Tulane is going to win this game. I think they're going to beat Navy. That's going to be hard. I think it's going to come down probably to, beating Memphis, and it'll be Tulane versus Army for the American Athletic Conference Championship. But this is the big picture. Look, John Summerall's a great coach. Tulane's having a great season. Tulane needs Boise State to lose the championship. They need them to lose. Boise State right now, only one non-Power 4 team is getting in the playoff. It's Boise State right now.
Yep.
So even if Tulane wins out, even if Tulane beats Temple, Navy, Memphis, and Army, they still won't get in. They need to do that. They need to win out, win the American, and they need Boise to get popped Mountain West Championship.
Yeah, Boise's got 2 things going for them. Just 1 loss, and it was like to Texas, right? Or
no, Boise lost to Oregon by 3 in Oregon.
To number 1 Oregon, that's right. And they got a Heisman Trophy candidate running back, so that they definitely need a loss.
They deserve to be where they are.
Yeah, no, they do. They need to lose. You're right. I don't mean to cut you off, Fletch, but we got about 30 seconds. The Pelicans need to trade Zion Williamson, right?
I don't know about that, but they got to get healthy and they got to get their you-know-what together because they're kind of an injury-plagued mess right now.
Yeah, 1-3 at home, that 4-game home stretch, 1-3. And then Zion Williamson mysteriously not there and not at the game, had the doctor's orders. I mean, Zion Williamson needs to go to another team. And then the Pels just get a lot for him, right?
Let me say this. That's why I said I don't know. If you can get a king's ransom for him, we're probably getting into the area of doing something like that. But you can't just dump him.
No, of course. You got to get an Anthony Davis-like trade, something similar to that. Anyway, Fletch, always a pleasure. Have a good weekend.
All right, Corey, thanks.
That's Fletcher Mackel. Thank you. Fridays with Fletch. We do it every single Friday. Corey Johnson with you. Hey, Michael Hecht's going to join us next to end this hour. And to start the 5 o'clock powwow, we're doing it in style. Michael Hecht from Greater New Orleans, Inc. Next.
Hey, New Orleans, if you've ever wanted to experience life on St. Charles Avenue, now is your chance. The Grand Victorian, the ultimate bed and breakfast in the Garden District on the streetcar line. Built in 1893, this magnificent house will make your special weekend getaway special. To find out more, go to gvbb.com. That's gvbb.com. The Grand Victorian, where the locals go to get away.
Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
For over 120 years, New Orleans' very own Leidenheimer French bread.
What actually lasts a lifetime? Not much, but at Helm Paint, we have something guaranteed to last a lifetime. Benjamin Moore's Regal Select. This paint and primer in one offers cutting-edge waterborne technology, smooth application, and long durability. Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore, your New Orleans paint store.
My Sittu, that's Arabic for grandmother, used to make the best football kibbe. You can experience kibbe just like my grandmother used to make, and so many other Middle Eastern favorites on the streetcar line, Lebanon's Cafe.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Young's Dry Cleaning with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Have you been to the new Tracy's on Magazine? There's no better sports bar restaurant in the entire city. Tracy's is inside of a 100-year-old building with literally dozens and dozens of flat-screen TVs, including a 120-inch monster. Tracy's has everything you're looking for in a sports bar, including arguably the best roast beef po' boy in town. When it's time to check out your favorite teams, make it Tracy's on Magazine at Pleasant, in between Washington and Louisiana. Legendary Tracy's in the Garden District.
The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, it's open now. We fix cars and trucks. We do all makes and models. And it doesn't have to be a Ford or a Lincoln. It could be whatever you're driving. 32,000 square feet under roof, now open at 3101 Williams Boulevard. It's all about you, the customer, getting the most for your dollar. I would say the most perfect collision center anywhere. The Lamarck Automotive Collision Center, 3101 Williams Boulevard. Go check it out.
Rouse's Market is hiring. With 65 stores, fuller part-time employment, and flexible scheduling, Rouse's has a job for you, or maybe even a career. Apply at any Rouse's store or online at rouses.com.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Yeah, you right. Crescent City and beyond. Corey Johnson back at you. Hey, the 4 o'clock hour this afternoon on a Fantasy Friday brought to you by Leidenheimer Baking Company. Since 1896, baking that Leidenheimer French bread that you love. Makes that New Orleans po' boy the best. Fine dining restaurant. It starts off with a little mini loaf of Leidenheimer French bread, right? Good to the last crumb. Leidenheimer French bread. 4 o'clock hour brought to you by Leidenheimer Baking Company. Michael Hecht is with us from Greater New Orleans, Inc. Hey, Michael, Leidenheimer Baking Company now bags and boxes that Leidenheimer French bread from their New Orleans bakery. I think I've told you this before, and ships it out to 30-plus states now. 30-plus states enjoying that New Orleans Leidenheimer French bread. Pretty cool.
Part of the export economy. And the thing about Leidenheimer bread, it's kind of like a New York bagel. You say, like, why would I want to buy my bread from across the state line and have it shipped? But it's just different. You just can't bake it that way somewhere else. You can't get the same crispiness on the outside, fluffiness on the inside. It's worth it. Bake it, take it, freeze it. If you need to, reheat it. Yep. It's still better than what you're going to buy locally.
No, that post-Katrina, they tried baking it in Baton Rouge, and it didn't come out right. It's the New Orleans water, whatever. It's like you mentioned, the bagels or pizza dough out of New York. It's the water, something.
Hey, Miguel, you're in the capital city. What are you checking out the special session?
Well, I was able to avoid the very special session today. I was able to wind my way through the tailgaters for the Alabama game. They're already lining up these massive mobile homes. But I was here at LSU at the engineering school for a spudding ceremony. Do you know what a spudding ceremony is, Corey?
I have no idea. I'm assuming it has something to do with potatoes.
Well, yeah, strangely, it has everything to do with petroleum. So spudding is what you call it when you're going to drill a well, and it's when the tip of the drill first breaks the ground. That's called making the spud, and the day that it happens is the spud day. But this time we weren't here for an oil well. We were here for a well that's being drilled for a carbon capture test well. So this is part of that grant we got a couple of years ago from the EDA, H to the Future.
Yep.
And LSU is one of our key partners, and they're basically drilling a well to try to figure out the best techniques for storing and reusing carbon as part of this clean energy future where Louisiana is one of the pioneers. So this is one of those rare things, Corey, where we wrote a grant, we got a grant, and now it's actually being turned into something useful in the world.
I'm assuming Texas is going to be doing some carbon capture. Is it Oklahoma? Is it just like petroleum-based states, oil and gas states, or other places are going to try to do it as well?
Well, you tend to do it, one, if you have industry like manufacturing fertilizer that creates carbon. But what we have that Texas or Oklahoma, other places don't have is a geology with our layers of clay that make us particularly good for storing carbon. And so other places can try to do it. There's probably no place that has a set of experience, geology, and industry that Louisiana has. So we're actually, we have a head start here, and that's why it's great to see, LSU partnering with GNO Inc., partnering with Exxon and Halliburton to bring this to life.
Hey, Michael, the special session is underway. I know you were just joking about saying you were avoiding it, but you're all for the tax reform, right?
Well, let me say this. We desperately need tax reform. Our tax code is overly complicated. It's inefficient. It's not good for attracting business. That being said, we're still trying to tease through all the various elements in this package. I give the governor credit for being so bold, and Richard Nelson, but we're also hearing concern from people about what's in it, how it's going to affect things like historic building credits, tax credits, which was used to build buildings like the Four Seasons.
Yeah.
So, we're kind of we love the concept, and we're kind of at the devil is in the details, section right now.
Yeah. We're not going to follow Texas or Florida, have zero income tax and put the burden on homeowners, which I wish we could. I think the homestead exemption's utterly ridiculous, but there's 17 bills. It's essentially getting rid of some of the tax credits you mentioned and increasing the sales tax, right?
Yeah, it's basically you broaden the sales tax to include things that are not currently taxed, like dog grooming, for example. And then you get rid of basically all of the tax credits and exemptions, which is where some of the consternation comes in, because some of them are industry specific, like film, but other ones are different, like the historic tax credit, or, for example, the free trade zone credit, for example. So you get more nuance there, but you do those two things, and what you're able to do is lower the corporate income tax rate and lower the personal income tax rate down to flat rates around 3%. So you're not getting to the 0%, but you're getting to a 3 or something percent flat, which is certainly better than what we have now. The question is, we just want to make sure, Corey, that when we know the patient is sick, we want to make sure that the medicine doesn't kill the patient. I guess is how we say it.
Yeah, I don't want to cut off our nose to spite our face. A lot of those those tax, a lot of these historic buildings would never get done if it weren't for the tax credits.
That's right. So there's the way that Richard Nelson describes it is right. He says, look, what we're trying to do is to create a better tax code, which encourages more investment, which gives us a healthier economy with more demand over time. So you don't need these incentives. And that theory is exactly right, but you have to get from A to B. Yep. And getting from A to B is, it represents a lot of change, and it's unclear whether you can do it with one stroke of a pen.
Yeah, especially in Louisiana. Most and least educated states in America, Louisiana was third least educated. Getting A to B is very difficult. Hey, Michael, we're going to pick it up on the other side of the hour, all right? That's Michael Hecht from Greater New Orleans, Inc., joining us live from the capital city, Baton Rouge, where a special session's going on. That's Blue Boy barking up a storm saying, stick around, New Orleans. The 5 o'clock power hour is next. Don't go anywhere.
You're on the neutral ground with Corey Johnson on TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333.
Yes.
Also on YouTube, on radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM, WSLA New Orleans.
It's 5 p.m.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralox, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralox technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralox is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Here at the NOLA Coalition, we love our kids and we love our city. The people of New Orleans are standing together for a better future. By harnessing our collective resources, the NOLA Coalition will create a safer, more prosperous city for all residents. Your support is needed to help reduce violence, invest in our children, and drive generational change. Join now at nolacoalition.info.
Young's Dry Cleaning has free pickup and delivery. That's right. Young's Dry Cleaning has absolutely free pickup and delivery. Home or office, East Bank or West Bank. Call Young's at 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Rouse's, New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's has the only full-service grocery stores both in the French Quarter on Royal Street and in the CBD on Baronne in the old Sewell Cadillac building. The Rouse's on the river, Tchoupitoulas at Napoleon, is in a century-old warehouse. And uptown on Ferret at the corner of Valence is Rouse's all-new boutique store. With 7 locations in Orleans Parish, Rouse's is New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's Markets. Taste like home.
Want to stay somewhere special when visiting New Orleans? Look no further than the Grand Victorian. Located in the Garden District on the St. Charles Avenue streetcar line, the Grand Victorian is ideally placed for visiting the city's local attractions, fabulous restaurants, shops, and more. Make your stay in New Orleans something to remember. To find out more about the Grand Victorian or to book, go to gvbb.com. The Grand Victorian.
Hi, this is Joey Helm. My dad, Bunky Helm, had a vision of a locally family-owned store serving the residential and commercial paint needs of New Orleans. I think Dad would be proud of today's Helm Paint and Decorating, and here's why. We have the best technical staff in the business, providing the best color matching service in Southeast Louisiana. Perfect matching for any color and any brand. And we'll save your colors so you don't have to save those old cans. Helm Paint offers free 2-hour delivery. Our in-store decorators will assist you on deciding what color and type of paint to best showcase your home. But most importantly, as your local independent Benjamin Moore dealer, our products provide the greatest value in the paint industry. Superior coverage, and Benjamin Moore paint simply covers better and lasts longer. New Orleans is a city of vibrant color, and no one else provides the paints of New Orleans like Helm Paint and Decorating. Visit any of our 6 locations or online at helmpaint.com.
Helm Paint, let us do you right. Helm Paint and Supply. Ooh la la Leidenheimer, that's what I said. Ooh, Leidenheimer, that's French for bread. Leidenheimer.
5 generations, family owned and operated. Leidenheimer French bread. Have you been to the new Tracy's on Magazine? There's no better sports bar restaurant in the entire city. Tracy's is inside of a 100-year-old building with literally dozens and dozens of flat screen TVs, including a 120-inch monster. Tracy's has everything you're looking for in a sports bar, including arguably the best roast beef po' boy in town. When it's time to check out your favorite teams, make it Tracy's on Magazine at Pleasant, in between Washington and Louisiana. Legendary Tracy's in the Garden District.
Ford F-150, #1 seller in America. What about in the USA? Let's see, what about in the world? Who sells more trucks than Ford? Nobody. It's because the Lamar team is the real team. All that makes it happen is one goal. Everybody having a great experience at Lamar Ford. We became #1 for a reason, because we're good. And we need to prove it every day, every deal, all the time.
Tired of cleaning your gutters? Improve the value and look of your home with Leaf Guard gutters. And you'll never have to clean your gutters again, ever. I guarantee it. Let Audubon Gutters install Leaf Guard gutters today. You'll improve the look and value of your home. And right now is the perfect time during Audubon Gutters' 99-cent installation sale. Call 469-6494 now. Get out of that gutter and get on the phone. At Audubon Gutters.
Oh yeah, 5 o'clock power hour on a fantasy Friday. That 5 o'clock whistle appropriately brought to you by Katie's in Mid-City. That's right, Mr. Drew Brees. Katie's in Mid-City. That's as New Orleans as it gets. You need to check out Katie's. Iberville, corner Tallahassee. USA Today had the 10 restaurants you have to go to in New Orleans, and it was all different price points. Katie's was on that list because it's the quintessential New Orleans neighborhood restaurant, old school, a mid-city mainstay. Make it Katie's tonight. That 5 o'clock whistle brought to you by Katie's. Yeah, it's a little after 5 p.m. on a Friday. That means 100% of the work week in the books. 100% of the weekend smack dab in front of us. Gotta like that. Hey, Michael Hecht was with us towards the end of last hour. He's sticking with us for a few more minutes to start this hour in style. Michael, some final thoughts on tax reform. We've got to get it done, but it is a delicate balance, you were saying.
That's right. Look, I expect that no matter what happens this session, we're going to come out better. Whether it is the whole hog or we just get a nice piece of meat. I applaud the governor and Richard Nelson and the legislature for taking this on. We just have to relentlessly keep trying to improve our structure, improve our brand, and basically unwind what the curse of riches has done to us for so many years. And this governor and this LED under Susan Bourgeois, they're in it to win it. So it's a fun time to be doing this again.
I fully agree with you on everything you just said. We got to get rid of the red tape, the bureaucracy, and move the state forward, try to lure businesses here. This bill worries me a little bit. There are 17 bills in this special session. One bill is to ease environmental permitting for Louisiana businesses. I got to just laugh at this. I mean, DEQ is run by the oil, gas, and chemical industry. We have an area known as Cancer Alley. I don't think easing environmental permitting is any kind of solution to anything. I mean, we excuse the language, we already whore out the state with those industries, oil, gas, and chemical. I mean, Buddy Roemer wanted to actually make DEQ legitimate. I think it's a joke. We have environmental problems in this state. Does it concern you there's a bill to ease environmental permitting for Louisiana businesses? I don't think there's a problem. It's the opposite. We need to tighten up environmental permitting for businesses, or at least regulate them by law, like do what we're supposed to, not have the inmates run the asylum. Am I wrong on this?
Well, it's interesting. And one, I wasn't aware of that bill that somehow is stuck in there. I'm not entirely sure why it's germane to a special session on tax reform. The second is that the place where we've had issues with permitting, in my experience, has always been at the federal level, where they're just slow as molasses.
Yes.
In fact, that's one of the things that we're going to see change for the good under the Trump administration is that permitting at the federal level, including, by the way, for environmental projects, is going to get a lot faster. To be honest, Corey, I've never heard a lot of complaining about environmental permitting at the state level. So I have to look into that. That's a little bit out of left field for me.
Yeah, I think the DEQ director is that woman who was like the rowing captain at Ohio State or something like that and ran some North Dakota or South Dakota Republican campaigns. I don't know what she knows about the environment. I'm pretty easy, Michael. Like Department of Defense, I want a general running it. Environment,
Right.
EPA, I want someone who knows the environment running it. I don't know. That's just me.
Just you, Corey.
Yep. That just worries me about easing environmental permitting, kind of worries me a little bit. Hey, Michael, what, 90 plus days till Super Bowl 59, brother?
93 days to Super Bowl 59. We're really kicking into high gear now. Poydras Street's just about done. My personal pothole has been gone over. We're now really turning our attention to the French Quarter. So you're going to start seeing street work happening within days in the French Quarter as soon as we get this contract done. Lighting repairs going on. We've printed out all the new signs to get new signs put up, bollards getting put up. Quality of life sweeps are continuing. We're going to be beautifying the 100 blocks of the first 5 streets. We've got, what else we got going on there? Murals that are going up, homeless abatement, and the new garbage contract starts in December. So I think by the time the Super Bowl comes around, you're going to see a French Quarter that is still unmistakably the French Quarter. You're not going to take the ricks out of French Quarter, but it's going to feel a lot, to use a term from the 80s, a lot less grody.
I noticed some new interstate exit signs on the Pontchartrain Expressway downtown. Looks good.
Yeah, we got some new interstate signs going up. They're replacing the lights. They're power washing. It's all kind of beginning to happen. And look, it's very gratifying to see the physical results of our labors. The fence going up around Duncan Plaza. You're going to start seeing the murals go up near Duncan Plaza and hopefully on the courthouse soon. So what I would tell everybody, Corey, and they've been good about this, if you see something that needs attention or if you have an idea, just email at superbowl@gnoinc.org. superbowl@gnoinc.org. That's the way.
I got one for you, Michael, and it's cheap and easy, and it's an eyesore right now. It's an easy fix. It's the old Hard Rock Hotel site. Get rid of the chain link fence, clear out the concrete, and just get some, pallets of sod and grass that lot for the Super Bowl.
Right. Well, here's what we're doing so I've been pretty involved in that. Unfortunately, we really can't do anything on the site because it's too tied up in litigation, not surprisingly. So what we're doing is we're working with the NFL. We're going to put a scrim around the fence that's going to basically be advertising New Orleans and advertising the game. And then we're working with LunaFet, and we're going to project on that massive wall above it, the side of the Mayfair Hotel on Canal Street.
Nice.
So it's basically going to become an art installation.
Nice.
So
that's perfect.
Yeah, so it'll be okay. It'll go away in the day and be pretty at night.
That's a good way to put it. It'll go away in a day.
Corey, that's really all I ask of people. Go away during the day and be pretty at night.
Yeah, exactly. It's an eyesore right now. It's been an eyesore for 4 years. Hey, a curveball for you, Michael. 504 golf is going up. I don't know if they're going to make it for the Super Bowl, but I like what I'm seeing. They got the big poles. Soon they'll have the netting up, the driving range on the Pontchartrain Expressway. Are they breaking ground on, at the River District for Top Golf? Is that happening?
I think that they were dealing with some issue there. I think they're getting ready to break ground there as well. I met with them a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, the 504 is they're just pouring the money in to get it done. I think they'll be done by the Super Bowl.
I hope so. The thing that worries me about Top Golf, Callaway owned them and they just got rid of them. Like Callaway doesn't own them anymore. I mean, like time kills deals. Let's break ground on that already or it's going to go away.
Yeah, I think that's why they're going to break. I forgot what the technical issue was, but they realized they have to break ground to create confidence and momentum. So I think they're going forward with that.
Hey, Mike, let's end it on a positive. The mayor's in Barcelona, and she's put herself on the top 50 most significant New Orleanians Walk of Fame list. Oh, boy.
Hashtag NOLA, baby.
Gosh, exactly. Hashtag NOLA. I'll end it in a positive. I had Rafael Goyeneche on yesterday. He says, not if, when the mayor's indicted, she'll have to relinquish that passport. No more junkets.
Yeah. Well, he had an amazing event on Wednesday. MCC, 750 people there. I've never seen the city this united across race, across politics, across geography for public safety. And Raphael and MCC have been a big part of that.
No doubt, Michael. What a smooth segue away from something bad to something great. I've
been coming on this show for a few years, Corey.
Michael, always a pleasure, brother. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
As well. You too. Thank you, man.
93 days, he says, till the Super Bowl. Holy smokes, it's coming sooner than later. You got to love that. That's Michael Hecht from Greater New Orleans saying Corey Johnson with you. Hey, guess who's going to join us in a few minutes, New Orleans? Frank Brigsten, award-winning chef. Doesn't get much better than that on a Friday, huh? No, we can't always talk about the bad stuff. I mean, the Monday through Thursday can wear you out doing a talk radio television show in New Orleans. Mayor in Barcelona, mayor putting herself on top 50 most significant New Orleanians in history list. The list itself, a big question mark. At least 20 names are either premature or undeserving, and there's like 20, 30, 40 names that should be on that top 50. Who's the committee that put it together? I can go on and on and on about that. Expecting some rain over the weekend, maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday. My Audubon gutters are going to be put to the test. Yeah, about a month ago, Audubon Gutters installed gutters on my house featuring the leaf guard system. Why would I have even considered anyone else but Audubon Gutters? That's Metro New Orleans Gutter Company. They don't do painting. They don't do roofs. They don't do aluminum siding. All they do is gutters. As a matter of fact, they're the Gulf South's largest, most experienced gutter installation company. AudubonGutters.com. AudubonGutters.com.
Custom window treatments can enhance the look and value of your home. At Helm Paint and Decorating, we're proud to offer custom plantation-style window shutters by Scandia. Perfect for any window, including large frames, French doors, sliding doors, and arches. American-made SL300 shutters are available in many colors to match your personal decor. We'll come out to measure, and you'll receive fast delivery. Plus, they're virtually maintenance-free.
Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore. Let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
The Port of New Orleans is the gateway to global commerce, the economic engine that moves Louisiana and our country forward. For more than 125 years, Port Nola has continued to deliver the goods we use each and every day, by river, rail, and by road. No matter what, it all happens right here, delivering Louisiana's future at the Port of New Orleans, your working river. Learn more about your Port of New Orleans. Visit portnola.com.
Rouse's Market is hiring. With 65 stores, full or part-time employment, and flexible scheduling, Rouse's has a job for you, or maybe even a career. Apply at any Rouse's store or online at rouses.com.
There's a Middle Eastern restaurant that's less than 5 minutes from where Causeway and River Road meet, Lebanon's Cafe. Convenient to Old Metairie and Old Jefferson. Carrollton at Jeanette on the streetcar line, Lebanon's Cafe.
Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance keeps you cool. Total maintenance Total maintenance,
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Come experience the best smoothies in the metro area at Smoothie King. Jay and his father have been Smoothie King franchisees for decades. On Jefferson Highway, across from Oxnard, on Airline Highway at LeBar by Causeway. Smoothie King.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this Lamarck Automotive Complex is something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We're doing all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live. We live to eat.
More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love. More. When you do something, you have to do it right. It's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
We are so fortunate in New Orleans, with tourists and conventions. We kind of hit above our weight. I'm not knocking Metairie or the North Shore at all. It's all Metro New Orleans. There's probably a half dozen, maybe 10 really high-end restaurants in all of Jefferson Parish. The North Shore is pretty affluent, so there might be 15 or 20 really good high-end restaurants. New Orleans might have 50 to 100. And I'll tell you one in particular that could be in any great restaurant city in the world. It could be in San Francisco, New York, Paris, Barcelona, where the mayor is. I'm talking about Brigsten's at the Riverbend. Frank Brigsten joins us on the program. How are you, Frank?
Doing great. Where you at, Corey? TGIF.
I guess I'd say I'm between the A and the T. I never understood that. Where are you at in between the A and the T? It's over my head.
The answer is right here, bro.
There you go. Hey, Brightson's, what, like about 38 years y'all have been at it, Frank?
That's right. 38 years. Next March, which is not that far away, will be 39 years old.
That's unbelievable, man.
It is. I feel so fortunate, and to do it in this city, it's a real honor and privilege.
Do you think it's 38 years? Does it feel like it?
Yes.
It does.
But there's still a certain freshness to it, vitality to it each and every day, honestly. I don't do the math so much at my age. In fact, tomorrow, there's going to be a reunion of my 8th grade class from St. Matthew the Apostle.
Wow.
And I am not doing the math on that one. I'm not counting.
That's smart. You shouldn't. High school and college is enough. 8th grade's even adding more years to it.
But it's going to be fun.
Hey, Frank, they call a job or a career that you love, sometimes like a labor of love. I work hard, but I'm sitting on my rear end for 2 hours. You're standing for 4 or 5 hours every evening. It is labor being a chef, isn't it?
Oh, it absolutely is. If you do this, for a lifetime, it always takes a physical toll, and I don't think many people understand that. You could compare it to, honestly, a construction worker.
Yep.
Because there's so much physical movement, not just being on your feet, but constantly lifting, swinging, turning, shaking, skillets, lifting pots. It's 8 to 10 hours of very physical activity, and it does take its toll. And I keep reminding my younger chefs, don't lift that. Make 2 trips. Don't wind up like me. You only get one back. There's definitely that part of it too, and I want people to understand that before they get into the profession.
Yeah, bending over, and then the reaching out with something that has weight to it, and you're reaching out, over the stove, or it's
exactly. If you work a saute station shaking skillets for 4 hours, you'll find muscles you didn't know you had. If you're right-handed, you're probably shaking on your left hand. So, there's things like tendinitis and stuff like that, shoulder stuff. So you just got to be cognizant of it and take good care of yourself.
All right, cliche or saying, labor of love. Let's stick with that theme. What's cooking, Frank?
Well, things are really going well. We've been busy. We added a veal dish back to the menu by popular request. And this is sauteed veal, scallopini, with oyster and artichoke sauce. And this is sort of a tribute to Chef Warren LaRousse. He was famous for that oyster artichoke soup.
Yeah, yep.
And I think the brilliance of that, Corey, is that he understood how well oysters and artichokes, canned artichokes, pair together, because they each have this sort of metallic, flinty quality to them. And on top of a piece of sauteed veal, with onion, celery, a little fresh thyme, lemon, really, really nice combination. So that's been selling really well this week. We're back to our old beef dish that you love so much, 6-ounce filet of beef grilled, certified Angus beef, topped with a tasso marchand du vin sauce.
Wow.
And garnished with thinly sliced, crispy fried shallots.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
That sauce on it is world class.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we've been selling a lot of duck too. Roast, crispy, boneless, half roast duck with dirty rice and pepper jelly glaze. And then next week, we're going to switch the sauce back to our duck à l'orange. We're moving into Louisiana citrus season. We'll get some local navel oranges, the best oranges in the world, and do the classic French preparation of duck à l'orange, using the pan drippings from the roasting pan to give the sauce a depth of flavor that's really delightful. And we actually put a little bit of pepper jelly in there too, homemade pepper jelly, and it's a really lovely, well-balanced sauce.
Three variations of the duck: the pepper jelly, the l'orange, and the you use cherries too, right? Sometimes.
Yeah, dry cherry sauce in the summer usually.
Yep.
Yep.
Wow.
That's right.
That's amazing. Let's see. Fish dishes on the menu this weekend.
Yeah,
everybody loves seafood.
We are fortunately into the fall run of speckled trout from the East Coast. I was very concerned about that because of the hurricanes, Hurricane Helene in particular, but we're getting fresh speckled trout every day out of Virginia. And so we have pan-fried speckled trout meuniere with roasted pecans, and that's been selling like hotcakes. That's classic Creole to me. And I made that dish 20, 30,000 times, and I'm not tired of it yet.
No, I mean, trout's one of the best eating fish in the world, and you just kind of, you followed Paul Prudhomme's deal. Instead of almonds, you went with pecans, the local product.
Exactly right, and that's what he did at Commanders back in the 70s. We had trout almondine, and he said, we don't grow almonds here. Let's do it with pecans. And that nuttiness from the batter, the fried batter on the trout itself, just flour fried, has a nutty quality. And then browned butter, which is also nutty. And then the roasted pecans is just really, really a kick.
Hey, why the trout from Virginia and not from Louisiana, Frank?
There is no legal speckled trout caught in Louisiana for restaurants. It's strictly a game fish. The governor, Mike Foster, took it away from us in the 90s. There's no wild redfish. There's no wild speckled trout for restaurants.
Yeah, it's all it's rod and reel caught, right?
Well, that was the theory, but in practicality, there's no speckled trout being caught by rod and reel.
Gotcha.
So, we have redfish every day, and that's farm raised in Texas. We use striped bass most of the time for our broiled fish, and that's farm raised in Texas as well. I much prefer wild fish, but this is my best options.
Hey, soft shell crabs, yes or no?
No, we had a little pop last week. Typically the second cold front of October is when they shut down for good. We haven't really had a second cold front, so we might get a pop tomorrow. Who knows? But I doubt it.
How about tuna? How about tuna?
Yeah, tuna's looking good, and that's a year-round fish here in Louisiana. Wild caught in the Gulf, and really the cooler months are better for tuna in terms of abundance. And what we're doing with that, we used to blacken the tuna with smoked corn sauce. I'm now doing redfish that way. And then tuna appears on our menu on our seafood platter, which is about 6 different components. And one of the components currently is blackened yellowfin tuna fish salad.
Wow.
As one of the components, and man, is it good. We make a homemade green onion mayonnaise to dress it, blacken the tuna, flake it, and add the dressing and a little bit of grated hard-boiled egg. And that's really unique and fun and delicious. The platter also has grilled redfish with sauteed crab meat and a lemon crab butter sauce, shrimp cornbread with jalapeno smoked corn butter,
yummy,
a fennel baked oyster. A customer asked me for the recipe last night. I pulled it from one of my chef's binders and gave it to her. And then the baked oyster LaRuth with shrimp and crab meat. Again, a tribute to the late great Chef Warren LaRuth. And that's our platter. Let's see what else. Pork chop, brine, 15 hours, seared to order. Nice, tender, and juicy pork chop with sauteed spinach and Creole mustard sauce.
Yummy.
And then another big seller the last few weeks has been our paneed eggplant parmesan. Rounds of eggplant, breaded and pan-fried, topped with parmesan and mozzarella and cooked under the broiler, and then that's served with marinara sauce and spaghetti bolognese. Oh my God, that's a killer dish. I might take one of those home tonight.
Hey, the phone number is 861-7610, 861-7610. Frank, I'm assuming with Tulane Homecoming, folks better book a reservation for next week.
Yeah, think about next week.
Total maintenance keeps you cool. TM-AC.com. Your cool spot. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria has over 15 specialty sandwiches, a big 10-ounce burger, and some of the best pizza in New Orleans. Francesca Deli and Pizzeria on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview between Canal Boulevard and West End.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com. Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business. 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes, a magazine as unique as you.
Custom window treatments can enhance the look and value of your home. At Helm Paint and Decorating, we're proud to offer custom plantation-style window shutters by Scandia. Perfect for any window, including large frames, French doors, sliding doors, and arches. American-made SL300 shutters are available in many colors to match your personal decor. We'll come out to measure, and you'll receive fast delivery. Plus, they're virtually free.
Helm Paint and Benton Moore. Let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralox, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralox technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralox is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, Latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
Come experience the best smoothies in the metro area at Smoothie. And his father have been Smoothie King franchisees for decades on Jefferson Highway, on Airline Highway at LeBar by Causeway. Smoothie. Hey, New Orleans, if you've ever wanted to experience life on St. Charles Avenue, now is your chance. The Grand Victorian, the ultimate breakfast in the Garden District on the streetcar line. Built in 1893, this magnificent house will make your special weekend getaway special. For more, go to gvbb.com. That's gvbb.com. The Grand Victorian, where the locals go to get away.
Stores both in the French Quarter on Royal Street and in the CBD on Baronne in the old Sewell Cadillac building. The Rouse's on the River, Tchoupitoulas at Napoleon, is in a century-old warehouse. And uptown on Ferret at the corner of Valence is Rouse's all-boutique store. With 7 locations in Orleans Parish, Rouse's is New Orleans grocery store. Rouse's Markets. Taste like home.
The Woodhouse Day Spa with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this Walk Automotive complex is something called Quick Lane. Tires, wheel alignments, struts, servicing your transmission. We do in all makes and models. It doesn't have to have been purchased from us. It's for you. It handles your lifestyle with your budget in mind. And we want to get you in and out as quick as possible. Quick Lane, you got to come see it. You're going to love the experience right there at Williams Boulevard in Kenner.
Hey, if you missed the end of the last hour, the beginning of this hour, Michael Hecht joined us from Greater New Orleans, Inc. That segment's always brought to you by Latrim, the global manufacturing giant. They are hiring. If you're looking for a job, a career, Latrim's got you covered. Latrim.com for a full listing of positions available, and it's dozens and dozens and dozens of positions available in Elmwood and also on the North Shore off I-12. Latrim.com, Latrim spelled L-A-I-T-R-A-M. For a full listing of positions available, go to Latrim.com. Fantasy Friday edition of the program. We've covered a lot. Fletcher Mackel joined us talking about the Coach Rizzi, new Saints, the new head coach, LSU, Alabama tomorrow, Tulane tomorrow afternoon, homecoming, Pelicans struggling. I mentioned a Fletch to trade Zion Williamson already. He's MIA a lot of the time. He's back now playing, but boy, just sometimes not there, sometimes not at the game. I just don't think that would happen with Zion Williamson in a big market. And if you can pull an Anthony Davis type trade and get, a King's ransom for Zion Williamson, go for it. Go for it. Hey, speaking of LSU, Alabama tomorrow night, I mean, this is so political, obviously. Jeff Landry and the Louisiana Surgeon General, Ralph Abraham, were on Fox this morning or today discussing a live tiger at the LSU game. And that's not some Fox-friendly story. It just proves my point that it's political. I think the governor's doing it. He went to ULL. He went to UL Lafayette. He did not go to LSU. I'm not saying he's not an LSU fan. I'm sure he is. You don't have to go to LSU to be a fan. But I think the live tiger thing is sort of to, rib the liberals, stick it in PETA's face, that type of thing. There's no clamoring from Tiger fans. Bring back a tiger before the game. We got to have a tiger in a cage, walk them around with the cheerleading crew around the stadium to get everybody pumped up. Don't need that. It's a tradition that went away because it was a bad tradition. We're in 2024. I think the last time Mike the Tiger was in a cage going around the stadium was like 2015. And, they were comparing it to like Uga, the dog at Georgia, or even the buffalo at Colorado. I don't think you can compare a endangered exotic tiger to a domesticated dog or a farm animal, essentially, like the bison, like the Colorado buffalo. Very, very different. And LSU getting this live tiger from Florida, bringing him in for tomorrow's game for LSU and Alabama. And it has nothing to do with tradition. No one's clamoring for this. Like I said, it's just kind of a way to agitate liberals and PETAs. I think it is strictly a political move by the governor. And the Louisiana Attorney General, Ralph Abraham, who's a doctor, but was a veterinarian first, just the comments he made were utterly ridiculous, just silly. I was with the tiger last night. He was very comfortable. He's very acclimated to people, blah, 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 blah. This is politics at its worst, at the expense of a live creature. It's sad. It's pathetic. The rest of the country sees this. And I know a lot of Louisiana folks, not all of us, but a lot of folks don't care what the rest of the country thinks. The hell with them. We're going to do what we want to do in Louisiana. That's why we're last at a lot of things. Yeah, I read the list yesterday. Most and least educated states in America. High school, college degree, postgraduate degrees. Most educated, Massachusetts, Vermont, Maryland, Connecticut, Colorado. Least educated, West Virginia, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. No, we like dumb. We like second place. We don't want to win. That's hard. We don't want to listen to common sense, the consensus. Yeah, you don't want an exotic Bengal tiger out in front of 100,000 people at a stadium with people going crazy cheering. The animal's not used to that. I mean, it's already bad enough that you could argue that we have zoos and stuff, but it's an endangered species. What LSU should be doing is get a male and female, Mike, and a female tiger and procreate the species. Do experimenting on that and try to proliferate the species. But with proliferate, I guess would be right, but also prolificate. Get more of them out there. But this is it's just wrong. And no one wants it necessarily. A lot of folks that are, thumbs up, they like that their folks mad about it. They like that PETA's upset about it. They think like animal welfare is like a liberal issue. It's so silly. It's apolitical. I got friends that think like, integrity, ethics, moral, based off of a political party. I got liberal folks that think it's a liberal trait and conservative folks that think it's a conservative trait. I'm like, it has nothing to do with politics. Integrity, ethics, morals, a human being doing the right thing has nothing to do with politics. But this is politics at its worst, in my opinion. And the idiots who's bringing the tiger in from Florida has a terrible reputation. Tigers have escaped from his enclosures, and there's been abuse and mistreatment of tigers. I mean, it's like that old gas station, the Little Capital or whatever. in between Baton Rouge and I guess Lafayette that used to have that tiger in the cage. It was just cruelty to animals. I mean, I mentioned yesterday, Ron Foreman, 53 years at the Audubon Zoo. He's retiring. The head of the Montreal Convention Center, Sawai, is taken over. I mentioned when I was a kid, and I mean when I was a little kid, it was just a bunch of cages at Audubon Zoo. It was cruel. It was inhumane. And Ron Foreman came in and changed the zoo, made it go from inhumane to world-class and humane. Large enclosures, more lifelike, you know. I'm not patting myself on the back, and I'm not taking singular credit for this, but it was about a dozen individuals, and you can count me in on this number. I was down the dial at 8:70 a.m. At night, they hit 38 to 42 states. I had a buddy hunting one time in New Mexico and was listening to me at night. I was on after Buddy D from 7 to 10 p.m. And for years, I would have guests on, LSU Board of Supervisor guests. Folks from LSU, politicians. Hey, this Huey Long era Mike the Tiger cage is inhumane. Why don't we have an Audubon Institute type enclosure? Everyone wins. It would become an attraction for LSU, not a dozen people walking up to Mike's little cage, which, by the way, you can Google it. The old cage for Mike the Tiger, Huey Long era cage, whatever. It'll pop up on Google in the photos, about the size of the average living room or den. It was probably 30 feet, 25 feet by about 15 feet. It was cruel. The tiger just paced up and down, had no room to run or sprawl out. There's no pool or anything. It was a joke. It was barbaric. It was so yesteryear. Crazy. And I would complain for years and bring on guests from LSU. And finally, some Board of Supervisor folks were agreeing with me and politicians agreeing with me. And then momentum built. And look, like I said, I'm not taking singular credit. Whenever you come up with a good idea, you, me, anyone, a good idea or a great idea, and this was a great idea. Let's get rid of this crazy yesteryear cage. And if we're going to keep this tiger, a live Bengal tiger, let's have an Audubon Institute type enclosure. And that's exactly what LSU did. State-of-the-art enclosure, 200 times larger than the old one. Gigantic. It might be like an acre that Mike gets to roam in. Half an acre. It's big. Yeah, bigger would be better. Even bigger would be better. But the point is, I fought for that. I talked about that. I was on a station with a lot of power that gets a listening audience by default. You could put a calibration tone on that signal, and it's going to have an audience. Proof's in the pudding. Look at some of the show hosts they got right now. Just terrible. No, and I talk about this tiger enclosure and how it's pathetic, this cage, and we need an Audubon Institute type, situation for Mike the Tiger. And that's exactly what happened because it was a great idea. A bunch of other people thought the same thing. Momentum built, and boom, you get this enclosure built at LSU that is much more humane. Same thing about a decade ago. This putting the tiger in the cage, and he didn't want to get in the cage, knew what was coming. This circling around the stadium, back then it was 80,000 plus. 90,000 plus, and then the cheerleaders on the roof of the cage banging on it, getting the tiger all wrong. It's crazy, have some empathy for the animal. It's not about us and our silly entertainment. We're doing just fine at Tiger Stadium. It is arguably the number one environment in the world in sports. Don't need a tiger in a cage going around to roll up the crowd. But Jeff Landry, hey, let's bring back the tradition. Ralph Abraham, who's a vet's all for it. No, this is politics at its worst. It's to, jab a finger in the ribs of liberals, stick it in PETA's face. That's all it's about. And get the wacky right-wingers that hate the liberals and hate PETA and all that, and don't have empathy towards the animals, gets them all rolled up, gets them all fired up, gets the base fired up. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's terrible. The rest of the country looks at us, and you wonder why folks think Louisiana's backwards ass? Because we are. And you want to know why we're third worst educated state in America? Because we are. We don't covet these things like education and taking care of our kids and setting them up for the future. And then when someone brings up putting Mike the Tiger in a cage and running around the stadium, we get belligerent and say, screw you. It's terrible.
For game-changing innovation, look to the Latrim family of companies located in Harahan. Intralox, a Latrim company, changed the game when they invented modular plastic conveyor belts over 40 years ago. These belts and innovative Intralox technology are transforming movement in manufacturing facilities around the world. Intralox is a dynamic global company now hiring in production, warehousing, shipping, and more. If you want to be part of our successful team, visit latrim.com. That's LAITRAM.com.
The Woodhouse Day Spa, with 5 area locations: New Orleans, Metairie, Slidell, Baton Rouge, and now Mandeville. A day of relaxation is just moments away at the Woodhouse Day Spa. WoodhouseSpas.com.
Tired of cleaning your gutters? Improve the value and look of your home with Leaf Guard gutters. And you'll never have to clean your gutters again, ever. I guarantee it. Let Audubon Gutters install Leaf Guard gutters today. You'll improve the look and value of your home. And right now is the perfect time during Audubon Gutters' 99-cent installation sale. Call 469-6494 now.
Get out of that gutter and get on the phone. At Audubon Gutters.
Want to stay somewhere special when visiting New Orleans? Look no further than the Grand Victorian. Located in the Garden District on the St. Charles Avenue streetcar line, the Grand Victorian is ideally placed for visiting the city's local attractions, fabulous restaurants, shops, and more. Make your stay in New Orleans something to remember. To find out more about the Grand Victorian or to book, go to gvbb.com. The Grand Victorian.
Come experience the best smoothies in the metro area at Smoothie King. Jay and his father have been Smoothie King franchisees for decades on Jefferson Highway across from Oxnard, on Airline Highway at LeBar by Causeway. Smoothie King.
Why wear the same old glasses that everyone else is wearing? Stand out from the crowd. Come to Art and Eyes. Art and Eyes is not your typical eyeglasses store. It's one of the finest eyewear shops in the country, right here in New Orleans, with precision-engineered prescription lenses and gorgeous high-quality frames from the heart of Europe, Japan, and the United States. Our products are thoughtfully curated, and our staff are here to help you find exactly the right frames. Art and Eyes are magazine as unique as you.
Young's Dry Cleaning, with 2 walk-up locations with personal service. Young's on Claiborne and Young's on Harrison Avenue in Lakeview. Young's Dry Cleaning. Call 288-8381 or online at youngsdrycleaning.com.
In New Orleans, we don't eat to live. We live to eat.
More is better.
Scott Craig of Katie's.
That is our slogan. More is better at Katie's. It means more of everything. Not just more food, more smiles, more friendship, more love, more. When you do something, you have to do it right. You know, it's all about more, and it's all more of the good things.
Get more at Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City.
Trey Yen in Mandeville, a New Orleans tradition for over 40 years, serving the finest Louisiana-inspired Chinese cuisine. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Trey Yen.
1970 was an exciting time in New Orleans. The first Jazz Fest was held, the city hosted its first Super Bowl, and the first Helm Paint location opened on Earhart Boulevard. While the floppy disks, mood rings, and pet rocks may have come and gone since the 70s, Helm Paint has grown to become your premier source for quality Benjamin Moore products, competitive pricing, and personal service. Please visit one of our locations today, and we'll meet our competitors' prices on any identical product. Helm Paint and Benjamin Moore, let us steer you in the right direction.
Helm Paint and Supply.
Hey, do you want to stay somewhere special in New Orleans? A magnificent bed and breakfast. The Grand Victorian. Their website is gvbb.com, like Grand Victorian Bed Breakfast, gvbb.com. It's on the historic St. Charles Avenue streetcar line on St. Charles Avenue in the historic Garden District. This house was built in 1893, meticulously renovated, designed by renowned architect Thomas Sully. It's over 130 years old. Now, if you're listening or watching from outside New Orleans, the Grand Victorian is a great way to visit the city. And it's not just for visitors or out-of-towners. You folks that like a staycation, want to do a vacation in town, it's the ultimate staycation for locals to enjoy the city. For that special romantic weekend getaway, you can experience all the fun of New Orleans holiday events by staying at the Grand Victorian. We do it right over Thanksgiving, over Christmas, New Year. Now, the Grand Victorian still has rooms available for the Super Bowl. That's right. Rooms still available at the Grand Victorian on St. Charles Avenue in the Garden District for the Super Bowl. They also have rooms available for Valentine's Day weekend. They've got rooms available for French Quarter Fest, for Jazz Fest. Now, Mardi Gras already sold out. Right on the Mardi Gras parade route on St. Charles Avenue, the Grand Victorian Bed and Breakfast sold out for Mardi Gras. But they do have rooms available for the Super Bowl, Valentine's Day, French Quarter Fest, and Jazz Fest. But they're going to fill up. There's no doubt. GVBB.com is the website for folks coming in from out of town, for locals that want to enjoy the city. Life on St. Charles Avenue, near local attractions, near great restaurants. GVBB.com. Check it out. The Grand Victorian. Corey Johnson with you. Fantasy Friday edition of the program. New Orleans City Council President Helena Moreno has filed the paperwork. She actually did it back in August. Media, myself included, NOLA.com, 46826, everybody just figuring it out recently. Like in the last 24 hours, although she filed like 2 months ago with the state, she filled out the paperwork for a mayoral run in New Orleans. Now, she physically has not made the announcement, but the paperwork's in. Expect her to make that announcement soon. Expect Oliver Thomas to make that announcement soon. Those two are going to be 1 and 2. Those are your front runners right there. Helena Moreno and Oliver Thomas. Royce Duplessis is reportedly considering a run, as is Judge Arthur Hunter. No, we're going to have a new mayor. Mayor LaToya Cantrell's term ends a year from this January of 2026. But I doubt she makes it to the end of her term. We had Rafael Goyeneche on from the Metropolitan Crime Commission yesterday. He was like, it's not if, but when the mayor is indicted. And one of the big positives about that, I mean, it's so sad that the city council hasn't restricted these junkets. One great thing about the mayor, when she's indicted, she will have to relinquish her passport. Rafael Goyeneche was talking about that yesterday on this program. She will have to relinquish her passport, which nixes Junket Cantrell, the No Shame Tour, gets clipped. No, there really is no shame. I was talking about it earlier in the week. I love the idea. I love the artwork. These placards, these plates that are going to be sunk into the sidewalk on Canal Street like a Hollywood Walk of Fame, a New Orleans Walk of Fame. The first 50 most significant New Orleanians in the history of the city were released. Mayor LaToya Cantrell put herself on that list. Just no shame. Just the arrogance. It's pathetic. It really is. It's mind-blowing and pathetic. Just belligerent. And just this, hey, you haters gonna hate. I'm going to Barcelona. Like the junkets continue where an indictment is imminent. No, I told you, maybe a week ago, 10 days ago, I was at Houston's on St. Charles Avenue. They have a big oval bar, and they have a cut in the bar where the bartenders, service people can go in and out from behind the bar. And it doesn't have one of those flaps. It's just a gap. So I go in there, and I was by myself, and I was going to get some dinner about 8 at night. They close at 9. The bar was packed. The restaurant was packed. One seat at the bar right by the little cut-in. So I went and sat there. About 5 minutes in, I look to my left. Right on the other side of the cut-in is Mayor LaToya Cantrell. She sees me, turns her back to me, and puts her right hand on her cheek and proceeds to look the other way and just yapped at these people. I'd say about 55 seconds for every minute. She was just yapping and slamming drinks. And then Houston's doesn't have to-go cups, but she got a to-go cup and walked out with a cocktail. Ordered one right when she was paying the check. Knocked back about 5 drinks, obviously buzzed. And then walks out, and there are 2 NOPD sitting there on the bench by the door. Had to wait the whole time for her to drive her home. You know? Just drinking a lot and taking junkets. But thank God the city preparing for Super Bowl 59, doing it all without her. Reminds me of when Mark Morial was mayor, and it was time for a new police chief. The feds were like, Richard Pennington, we're bringing in the D.C. chief. Mark Morial just kind of put his hands up and said, okay. Hey, the NBA trying to lure the Charlotte Hornets to New Orleans. Mark Morial just put his hands up and said, okay. The business community led with the NBA effort. The feds appointed the police chief. And no, Mark Morial wasn't some drunk either at a restaurant, you know, and he wasn't taking an obnoxious number of junkets. What's that, Blue Boy? The indictment can't come soon enough. Having to relinquish the passport and then inevitable jail time. Blue Boy, you're right on the money. Hey, everyone, have a great weekend. I'll see you straight up 4 o'clock on Monday. Monday afternoon, be there.
You're on the neutral ground with Corey Johnson on TV on Cox Channel 4 and Spectrum Channel 333. Also on YouTube, on radio at NOLA Talk 93.9 FM, WSLA New Orleans.
It's 6 p.m.